After everything you've seen in Congress with university presidents after university presidents getting grilled for not protecting their Jewish students and encouraging these Gaza Hamas Nazi encampments on their campuses, well, another president just resigned, Martha Pollack from Cornell. And on the way out the door, she's praising the people that took over her campus because, well, she supports how they did it, even though the campus was basically shut down and Jewish students were threatened with death. But Martha Pollack, as far as she's concerned, she supports the protesters. Good riddance. Will Johnson, when you look at the Ivy League, which are the greatest colleges in America, presidents, and a couple of them have resigned in humiliation for their lack of protection of students, especially Jewish students on campus, and allowing these maniacs, and I mean that word literally, to take over the college public areas with these encampments to free Gaza, and transsexuals for Gaza, LGBT for Gaza, you name it.
BLM for Gaza.
Yeah, exactly. All these, I guess you would call them convoluted interpretations of how the Gazans are so great for human rights, even though every gay that goes there would be executed under Sharia law. Now we have Cornell University, one of the Ivy League schools. The president has resigned, Martha Pollack. She's leaving at the end of June. And on the way out the door, she is praising the Gaza Solidarity encampment for being so great on her campus. She said nothing about condemning the harassment of Jewish students, the Jewish students being attacked, the professors not being allowed to cross the encampment area to go to classes, the fact that literally the school disintegrated into a non-school and they were unable to hold classes. None of that mattered. But she says the only criticism was, quote, the participants in the encampment shared that members of our Jewish community who have criticized Israel has been targeted with the slur capo. Let me translate that as someone whose parents were in the concentration camps. The Jews that worked for the Nazis to pull the bodies out of the ovens and dig the trenches and organize the executions of their fellow Jews were called capos, as a slur against
capos.
Capo, K-A-P-O.
Capo.
Yeah. And
if I ever meet George Soros and I call him a capo, he's gonna know exactly what I mean.
That is the perfect insult and is exactly a perfect use of the term. Well done. You're showing off your linguistic interpretive skills. Well done. She was critical that these kids that are anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, who claim to be Jews, were being called capos, which, by the way, is an appropriate use of the term, which is encouraging the destruction of Jews. She had no mention of October 7th, no mention of the fact that the campus was put into turmoil, no mention of the fact that it was unbelievably destructive, that they were openly calling for the death of Israel, for the death of Jews, and on and on and on. Do people like this go and get new jobs somewhere else, or do they just slink off into the sunset and live off their pension? I can't figure out who would hire somebody like this.
I suspect that they're probably going to end up on the Biden campaign. Hey, I'm just saying, and I've been saying this from day one. Joe Biden act like he's for Israel. He's the first one to be in the White House to fly to a location that's in the middle of war. And the only reason why I believe that he went there, he went to see what he did. Let me go see firsthand of my handiwork, helping Iran attack Israel. And let me go over there to give this perception that I want you to believe that I'm on your side. But, Barry, I've been saying it from day one that Joe Biden is all a front. Him, Chuck Schumer, all of them is just a front trying to act like they're for Israel. And then stuff starts happening, proving me right. Now, do I want to be right? No, I'm not trying to Will Johnson needs to be right. No. I want to be wrong on that. But you know what? Just based on a pattern from the left, this has been the common reoccurring thing for them to come out and act like they're here to help you to save the day. But, nope, we're going to do X, Y, Z to actually make it worse for Israel. And these people that, pushing all this stuff and not allowing Jewish students to go to class on these college campuses, that's their job, to make a safe space for everybody, Barry, but they failed miserably at their jobs. And now they're leaving. Some of them probably won't be able to get jobs as soon as they find out who they are. But, but then there's companies like MoveOn.org and Indivisible, the NAACP, and there's a whole bunch of woke companies that will welcome them with open arms.
Well, listen to this. As you were talking, I'm looking at students who, a couple of them have pled guilty to proclaiming that raping Jewish women and murdering Jewish men is part of the resistance. There's this one student who said, quote, "Rape and kill all the Jewish women before they birth more Jewish Hitlers. Jews are the excrement on the face of the earth." This is after, on the same day, a professor at Cornell proclaimed at a pro-Hamas rally on campus that Hamas's atrocities were exhilarating and energizing. Those people have no consequences for the words of hate and encouragement of violence and murder coming out of their mouths. They still have their jobs. They are still teaching there. Those kids are still going to school there, with the exception of like a couple.
Typically when you incite violence, you would get a knock on your door. But when it's against a group of certain people or a certain party ideology, if it's against certain things that they disagree with, then it's okay, right? It's okay. Or if certain things that they agree with, then it's okay. You don't expect to knock on the door. But if you're pro-American, pro-Israel, and you're talking about, and they'll knock on your door. How is this not happening when it's actually calling for rape for a woman? I mean, murder of Jewish people. So what happens when someone actually goes out and they murder a Jewish person? They get a pass on it? What happens when they go out and rape a female that's Jewish? They get a pass on it?
I'm not sure that they're really going to be violent, but they sure are talking about it. And
it's planting seeds, Barry. That's what you do. You plant the seeds. These pro-Hamas Palestinian terror supporters, they're very good on planting seeds, and they're putting it in the minds of these impressionable people. And they're like, and someone at some point is going to click, and that's their agenda. That's the job that they're doing, trying to get that one person or that multiple people to click, to go out and do what they're saying. And I said, look, I just said it. I didn't tell anyone to go do it.
I think that's a conspiracy to commit violence, and they ought to be indicted for it. But hey, that's me and that's you.
That's it right there.